So this will be the first of what I'm going to just call Tochnyi updates, which are any updates that I provide in video format outside of the live broadcast. So the topic of the first update is the current run-up to Victory Day and what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. In the run-up to Russia's 80th Victory Day celebration scheduled for May 9th, long-range strikes between Russia and Ukraine have intensified. Ukraine has dramatically increased its long-range drone campaign against targets deep inside Russia, particularly the Moscow region, in what appears to be an effort to disrupt preparations for the Victory Day festivities. Beginning around May 5th and continuing through to May 7th, Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles have targeted Moscow and other Russian regions, causing significant disruption to civilian life and travel while demonstrating Ukraine's growing capacity to strike at Russia's heartland. The most visible impact of these drone operations has been the repeated closure of airports across Russia. On May 6, all four major international airports serving Moscow, Sheremetyevo, Domodedovo, Vnukovo, and Zhukovsky, temporarily suspended flights as air defense systems engaged oncoming drones. Russia's defense ministry reported intercepting more than 100 Ukrainian drones that day across nearly a dozen regions. At least 9 regional airports also halted operations as UAVs struck areas both along the Ukrainian border and deeper inside Russia. After brief resumptions, Moscow's airports were forced to ground flights again as the city's air defenses intercepted additional drones. This pattern continued through May 6 and 7th. Russian authorities repeatedly restricted airspace around Moscow and other central regions, diverting flights to alternates as far away as Kazan, Saratov, Ufa, Perm, and St. Petersburg. Some planes had to circle for hours or land mid-journey at unfamiliar airports. By nightfall on May 7th, these disruptions had triggered a collapse in Russia's air travel network, with the Association of Tour Operators of Russia reporting that at least 350 flights were canceled between the evening of May 6th and 7th, affecting over 60,000 passengers. The drone strikes have been geographically widespread, with Russian reports indicating interceptions over Bryansk, Kursk, Oryol, Kaluga, Ryazan, and even Russian-occupied Crimea. In one incident, explosions thundered above Kubinka, a town outside Moscow that hosts a major Air Force base involved in parade flyovers. Debris from downed drones occasionally fell to the ground, including fragments landing on a highway in Moscow's southern outskirts and a drone crashing near private homes in the Nizhny Novgorod region, causing minor property damage. No casualties were reported. In response to the drone threat, Moscow authorities have implemented extensive electronic warfare measures, which have significantly affected communication for residents. Starting May 5th, Moscow began experiencing major disruptions to mobile internet service and wireless networks. The capital's emergency alert system sent mass SMS messages to residents warning that mobile internet access would be restricted from May 5th to May 9th to ensure security in connection with the preparation and celebration of Victory Day. These blackouts coincided with Victory Day rehearsal events, suggesting deliberate signal jamming as a protective measure against potential drone guidance systems. By May 6, widespread internet disruptions had become common in the capital, with residents finding mobile connections unreliable or down altogether in many areas. Electronic jamming equipment deployed to detect and disable drones has inevitably affected civilian communications, effectively cutting off ordinary Moscow citizens from mobile internet service for days. Electronic countermeasures extend beyond civilian networks. Military and police are on high alert, with specialized jamming units reportedly active around key sites, and critical facilities have been placed under reinforced protection. In the early hours of May 7th in Ukraine, Kyiv was awakened by air raid sirens and explosions as Russia launched a massive strike against the capital and several surrounding regions. The attack employed a combination of ballistic missiles and attack drones in large numbers, setting off hours of air defense activity. Ukraine's Air Force reported that the high alert in Kyiv lasted more than 9 hours as defense batteries engaged oncoming targets until daybreak. The human cost of Russia's attack was severe and immediate. Falling debris from intercepted drones or missiles caused damage on the ground, sparking fires in several districts. In one Kyiv neighborhood, fragments of a destroyed drone set an apartment building on fire. Amid the chaos, civilians became casualties. A young mother and her 11-year-old son lost their lives in the attack. President Zelensky also reported that at least 7 others were injured, including 4 children who suffered wounds from shrapnel and debris. Photographs from Kyiv on May 7th show burned-out apartments, shattered windows, and residents evacuating buildings in darkness while air raid sirens wail. Ukrainian officials later revealed the scale of the Russian attack. By their account, Russia fired approximately 4 short-range ballistic missiles and around 140 to 150 Shahed kamikaze drones at targets in Kyiv and at least 5 other regions of Ukraine overnight. Some reports indicated even higher numbers nationwide, with nearly 187 drones launched and up to 5 ballistic missiles. The use of ballistic missiles is significant as they travel at very high speeds and are difficult for Ukraine's defenses to intercept. While Ukrainian forces reportedly shot down 2 of the 4 incoming ballistic missiles, at least 2 others struck their targets. These strikes occur at the symbolically charged moment where Russia prepares for its May 9th Victory Day celebrations in Moscow. Putin's government has invested heavily in making the 80th anniversary of the 1945 victory a showcase event, inviting delegates from approximately 29 countries. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Brazilian President Lula are expected to attend. I believe Xi arrived actually on the 7th. The Kremlin is presenting this attendance as evidence that Russia is not isolated internationally, despite its ongoing aggression against Ukraine. In late April, Putin announced a unilateral 72-hour ceasefire to coincide with Victory Day, supposedly scheduled from midnight on May 8th through midnight on May 10th. Russian officials framed this as a humanitarian gesture in honor of the historic date and a test of Ukraine's willingness to consider a longer peace. Ukraine's leadership has rejected the proposal, with President Zelensky citing it as a theatrical performance designed more to ensure a smooth Victory Day parade than meaningfully halt hostilities. Zelensky has instead advocated for a genuine truce of at least 30 days, aligning with a broader U.S.-backed proposal. The massive drone and missile strikes on May 6th through 7th, occurring just before the supposed ceasefire was to begin, illustrate that Russia continues its aggressive military actions despite its public calls for a pause. Zelensky has urged foreign leaders to boycott the Moscow celebrations, arguing that attending the military parade while Russia continues its aggression would dishonor the memory of all who died fighting that thing YouTube doesn't want me to say, including millions of Ukrainians who fought in World War II. He warned that Ukraine cannot bear the responsibility for what happens to dignitaries in Moscow during the event, a statement the Kremlin angrily interpreted as a threat. In many regions near the border of Ukraine, local authorities have canceled Victory Day parades and public gatherings, citing security concerns. The mayor of Moscow and many other cities banned the use of personal drones and even asked residents not to set off celebratory fireworks this year. Despite these restrictions, the government is striving to project normalcy. While most Western leaders have declined to attend Moscow's celebration, they have secured the participation of Serbia and Slovakia's presidents, who are currently on their way to Moscow. However, Lithuania and 2 other countries closed their airspace to the plane carrying the Serbian and Slovak presidents, forcing a detour. Within Ukraine, news of world leaders attending the Kremlin's event has been received with disappointment and concern about potential for emboldening Russia's aggression. As of May 7th, Ukraine has demonstrated its capability to project its power onto Russian territory through precise drone strikes targeting infrastructure, while Russia has continued to unleash deadly missile salvos on Ukrainian civilian targets. The notional ceasefire declared by Moscow is widely regarded with skepticism given the escalation of violence in the preceding days. By the time Russia's Victory Day dawns, Moscow will be a city on edge, its skies guarded by anti-drone systems, its mobile networks compromised by electronic interference, its airports ready to shut at a moment's notice. So we'll have to wait until May 9th to see what happens. This has been Joseph with the Tochnyi Midweek Update. We hope to see you live on Sunday at 2100 Kyiv time for a more in-depth discussion of what's going on in Ukraine.